Hey, how's it going out there? It's AG Surfer back with another vid. There you go. Um, yeah, I was going through. There's an for you. I was going through, checking out my other vids, and I realized I left out a couple of books when I was talking about ECC Con in New Jersey. And this is the book. This is the book that Murph hooked me up with. A George Perez autograph. He was in line. He waited. He waited some crazy hours for it, and then Perez came back. Like I said, Perez came back and signed for the folks that were left behind with tickets when he was only going to do 2 signings that day in New Jersey. That he said, I'll come right back after my my panel, and I'll make sure I take care of these people that were waiting. So that's where Murph was smart. He stayed. I was dealing with Desert Wind, but Desert Wind was, or I was actually going after Sinet and some other artists as well. But anyhow, so Murph's like, hey, if you got a book or something, and I had more, I had stacks of books, but I was like, yeah, I just threw, I flipped him one real quick because, he was cool enough for it, and he had a son with him, so that helps with the quantity of books you can get autographed. So without further ado, this is a magazine type book I picked up a couple years back in Portland. I was hanging out with Tat, my bro, and I saw this book and I was like, this interview publication, scarce issue. I was like, I was obviously drawn to the cover because George Perez artwork right there, and then Jim Starlin. So it's just phenomenal. Love that color. Murph did a fantastic job, and I was tempted to submit this, but it's all good. So Murph hooked it up with this, and like I said, then Cholula. What did I do with that? Cholula hooked me up. Cholula said, hey, we were hanging out on Saturday, having a good old time, talking about comics, what we just experienced on Saturday night back by my place, because I was like 5 minutes from the con in New Jersey. So myself, my woman, Murph, his son, his buddy Sean, Cholula, and we're all just having a good old time drinking, talking about books. And then Cholula says, hey, I'm going to actually go tomorrow again. I'm going to go early. I'm going to try to knock out some more Perez. If you guys are interested, throw me a book or two. So I threw him 2 books. I threw him one for Perez, and Cholula took care of that for me and submitted it, so I'm stoked. And then I threw him this book for Sinet, and that's when I also threw him. I also asked about the books that Sinet had at his table. I realized I should have picked up that Fantastic Four, so I showed it in my previous vid. Cholula hooked me up and got me that book. Picked up one for himself, but this was a book. I was thinking I wanted Perez on as well, but So I got Starlin, Jim Starlin, and Ron Lim, and this was from SF Con like last year. And then he got me Joe Sinnott in black. I freaking love it. I was kind of hoping to add Perez to it, but I'll just kind of add some autographs on there as I go along. So that's it. That's pretty much it for New Jersey Comic Con. Oh, and I did leave out a name. I mean, there was a lot of YouTubers, quite a bit of YouTubers there, at the New Jersey, the ECC, Emerald City. You always want to say, I know you want to say Emerald City, East Coast Comic Con. So I mentioned quite a few names in those videos, but one name I forgot to mention. It was Friday night, first time waiting in line for Perez, first time getting the little homemade ticket. And we're hanging out for a bit, and my wife convinces me, hey, let's go do other stuff, and we'll come back. And I figured, yeah, why not? Because I have more stuff for other folks than I did for Perez as far as submitting. So I wanted to make sure that stuff got handled. But as we're in line, the other gentleman that had a brief moment to say, hey, what's up, and meet was the art chemist. So the art chemist is cool. It was very cool meeting him for a brief moment. And I'm sure I may have left out some other YouTubers that I met for a brief moment, but we'll see how that goes, and looking forward to next year. at East Coast Comic Con. We had such a great time. So, since I pretty much, I didn't really, I obviously didn't get any Perez for myself personally. I didn't get to meet him for a second time. That when I got home, I felt a little bummed. And I thought, hey, Perez is coming to Vegas. But I thought, what are the chances, right? Because I just get done with this long trip. What are the chances of me turning around and going to Vegas? I thought, well, it's worth a shot. I'll ask. Let me ask my woman. Because I wasn't sure about it. I was kind of 50-50 on it. And when I asked her about it, she goes, oh yeah, that's she wasn't really against it. And then she was on board, and I was stoked. Because I was like, okay, now I really got to plan this out. I got a couple of weeks, and I got all the, I've got a stack of books that I just brought back home with me from New Jersey that, I didn't get Perez on, but I thought, okay, and I just I'm going to really prep and get these books ready in case I get them signed. So I spent a lot of time doing that, but yeah, so I was really happy to go to the amazing Las Vegas Comic Con. And actually, at first it seemed kind of rough because it was quite a bit of a walking distance from your parked vehicle to get in there. But once you're in there, you're fine. The con was good. Con was spaced out right. The Perez was handled way better than it was New Jersey. No offense, New Jersey. The only issue with this con, I guess, is that it's all concrete once you're in there. Once you're actually on the convention floor, it's all concrete. So when you're standing around in line all day, and it's hard concrete, you got to move, right? You just start to feel it a little bit. The Perez situation was handled much better. They had said how they weren't going to allow like vendors or exhibitors, press, anything like that. Anybody with a special pass, they're like, no, they really wanted to focus on the fans of George Perez. And it was 5 items per person. It was fantastic. It was great to see him again. When I showed up, that was Sunday, because I'd gone Friday and Sunday. When I showed up on Sunday for Perez, it was like maybe 10:15, 10:20 by the time I got over there, and they said all the 10 o'clock tickets were gone. I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So I was like, man, again, it was the VIPs more or less, so the people that get in a half hour early were able to get tickets and all that business. So we just watched this Perez line, and the Perez line, I guess, was 30 to 50 people at a time, as opposed to like a couple hundred at a time, which was excellent in the sense that you could actually see Perez and you could see where the line starts and stops. And so they really had they try to do the best they could. They know it's going to be a madhouse with the Perez situation. So we just hang around. I'm like, well, when's the next time they're handing out tickets? They said they're going to start handing them out about 11 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, that's another 40, 45 minutes, give or take. I'm hanging out. I got nowhere to go, nothing to do. I'm literally here for Perez. I came to Vegas. I bummed. I didn't get it done in New Jersey. I wasn't stubborn enough to stand in line all day because I wanted to really get Sinnott and a few others and for submissions and whatnot. And so I'm like, I got nowhere to go. So we're hanging out, and the line starts forming. They start moving us around a little bit because they didn't like the way the line was. And I notice, Evan Jalon was there, so it was cool bumping into him. I think, I'd met him. I bumped into him. I'd seen him on Friday. I also noticed Ray Jr. and introduced myself to Ray Jr. And I know at first he didn't really, recognize or know me because, I never show myself in these videos. So you just see hands, or whatever, and hear a voice. But Ray was awesome. Ray was very cool. And then come Sunday, I noticed JoJo, Pop Dot Comics, and she's in line as well for Perez. Part of me wanted to jump out of line and go say something, but I know it wasn't a real line. But I'm like, I just was so focused on really wanting that ticket for Perez. So we stand in there, 11 o'clock rolls around, no tickets. They come back, they started telling us, so they started mentioning, okay, we're going to get tickets soon and this and that. And actually, that's when she says, okay, if you folks stay here, you're guaranteed a ticket. So I'm like, well, I'm not leaving, man. Cool, I'm guaranteed a ticket. Okay, I'm not going anywhere, right? Me and my woman were like, I'm not going anywhere. What time was it? So by 11, no tickets. I want to say, was it like 11:40? Geez, 11:40, close to noon, maybe close to 12, when we finally got a ticket. They finally get an actual, like, those raffle tickets. This time it was a raffle ticket, not a handwritten ticket. Waiting in line with that. And once we got that, she's like, okay, there's a time frame of about an hour on that raffle ticket stub. I think it was from 12:45 to 1:45 was the time frame that Perez may start signing again, so come back, right? I'm like, I got nowhere to go. Again, I got nowhere to go. I'll go right to his line. At which point I noticed Pop Dot Comics heads over there, because she was in, as far as the line goes, she was up in front. So she heads over there, and I'm like, I'm going over there. And so we head over there, and then we realized we just started forming a line within the actual Perez area. And other folks, I guess, had gone off to go do other things or whatever. So it was actually Pop Dot Comics and she was with her man, and myself and my wife. And at which point she was conversing. She was talking with some other individuals over there in line. I didn't want to be rude and interrupt or anything. I think I do too much of that already, so didn't want to do it again. So once I noticed it looked like free and clear, and they're the first in line, we're second in line. At which point I introduce myself and I say, hey, it's great to meet you, great to see you. I'm trying to recall what I said for verbatim, but it's great to meet her, great to see her, and talk with her a little bit, and say, I do enjoy her channel. And then I realized I was trying to look for her videos on my feed, and I'm like, okay, where's her videos at? Because I follow her on Instagram. Then I realized, oh crap, I'm not, like, what happened? So I found her vids, and then I had to sub again. So that's my bad. But yeah, it was just really cool to talk to her and hang out in line, which that helps the process of everything going by a little quicker. Perez showed up probably, I think that, again, the ticket stub said 12:45 to 1:45. I thought, oh man, must have been 12:15. It was only a little after 12. I think Perez showed right up, and he gave a moment, and he gave something. He says, I'll be right back. And because his handler showed up, and oh man, then right from that point on, it was like a whirlwind. The autographs and everything just happened quick. But let me go ahead. I'll stop it here, and I'll come back, and I'll show some books. I'll discuss some more, because it was so much. It was amazing. It was awesome. The YouTubers that were there, meeting George Perez, getting to hang out, getting a moment with Perez. My wife really doing, yeah. Okay, I'll be back for There's Always Part 2.